Lost amidst all the action and hoopla surrounding May 18th's Ring of Fire promotion was a little heavyweight battle for the WBC, WBO, and NABO Intercontinental titles between Frank Sanchez and Kabayel. Let's talk about a fight that no one is talking about. In a showdown in what could be considered the next tier level of heavyweights, in other words, those who are waiting in the wings for their opportunity at a heavyweight title shot, Frank Sanchez and Kabayel waged a battle between one another that made a clear distinction about who will be advancing forward. Interestingly, there's not a lot of conversation that has come out of this, although Sanchez entered this fight as a hopeful and one who had beheld the Intercontinental title, in which he saw himself eventually getting a title shot, but not so fast. Enter Kabayel from Germany, who had an opportunity on the Day of Reckoning card to show everyone, the world, that he could fight. When he took on back in December of 2023, Arslanbek Makhmudov, and defeated him, battling Makhmudov to the degree that he had him downed several times before the eventual inevitable stoppage. Sanchez, on the other hand, had been coasting along ever since he got a victory over Efe Ajagba back in October of 2021. He's kind of been coasting over third, if not fourth-tier opposition with the likes of Christian Hammer, Carlos Negron, Daniel Martz, Scott Alexander, and Junior Fa in his very last fight. Kabayel, I felt, was the dark horse here who would come out and prevail. I remember discussing with some brothers and sisters from the community, are you guys ready to see Frank Sanchez lose tonight? Because Ajit is a fighter who will come out and does what it takes to win. He is an imposing force. He stands 6'3", and he's 31 years of age. And his record now, 24-0, he is looking to really establish himself with a big fight in the heavyweight division. Sanchez, as I mentioned earlier, had been coasting along. Coming out of the training camp of Camp Canelo with Eddie Reynoso, I have felt that Sanchez hadn't done enough to really show that he's ready to take that next step. Now, some people could say, well, no one is interested in fighting Sanchez, the Cuban native who record now is 24-1. And he's listed at 31 years of age, and as an orthodox fighter, he's 6'4", but he hasn't really looked to assert himself. And the fact remained that in this fight against Kabayel, his temperament truly showed. From the opening stanza of this fight, Kabayel took the battle straight to Sanchez, who normally will box and move side to side and circle his opponents, but he wasn't doing well being backed up, and he had no adjustments. His corner didn't make any suggestions, and he found himself in bad circumstances. He did try to unleash some power punches on Kabayel, who was able to keep himself defensively responsible enough to continue on his offensive intentions against Sanchez, which were to back him up behind a jab, punch to the body, punch in combinations, and continuously apply pressure. Well, it worked, because as the battle went on, Kabayel was able to not only assert himself, but after only 2 rounds, you could see that Sanchez was huffing and puffing. He was having difficulty dealing with the circumstances. It didn't help that he entered the ring with a knee brace on. The fact that he had that knee brace on could tell the public that he's not mobile enough to do what's necessary against Kabayel. And Kabayel mixed up his attack with punches to the head as well as the body. And as he continued to apply the pressure on Sanchez, he made sure to give some direct stabs to the pit of the stomach, further sapping the energy of Sanchez. I was watching this fight, and I had initially said when I saw Kabayel for the first time, which was back in December, I noted that he reminded me of a heavyweight from a bygone era, Merciless Ray Mercer. Once Ray Mercer would put his mind to something when he was in there with an opponent, he had such a dogged determination that sometimes he could break the other fighter's will. Mercer didn't start off as the most skilled person and fighter, but after he lost to Larry Holmes, he came away understanding how significant the jab is, since he lost to a master of the jabbing class in Holmes. And from that point in Mercer's career going forward, that jab would be centered around all of his success as a heavyweight contender. Kabayel reminds me of Mercer. No, he doesn't look anything like him. No, he doesn't fight like him. But that temperament, that aggression, and that resolve to keep coming on like a wave, overpowering, overpressuring, to the degree that Sanchez was withering under the attack. The next thing you know, Sanchez was down on his knees at the canvas, and he looked to be trying to escape the pressure. And once that happened, I had said readily straight away that the fight was over, because Sanchez was broken at that moment. I don't think that he's ever had an opponent in there to face him like that and apply that type of pressure without concern for what Sanchez may do. It was all the Kabayel show on that night. And I really love the way that he took it to the favorite Sanchez. And now he has those titles around his waist. And as the WBC Continental Americas and WBO NABO Heavyweight Championship titleist, he will, by the end of the year or early next year, be in range for having a title shot. And he is not going to be a guy that's easy to pick against, because he applies himself, he comes in shape, and he's formidable, and he's not afraid of contact. I love this about Kabayel. He brings something very strong that you don't see on a day in and day out basis in the heavyweight division, yet alone boxing itself. But what do you think? Did you see this fight? This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Keep your eye on Ajit Kabayel and let me know what you think. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.